I promise I will tell you the history of this place.
After finishing Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, I was surprised to learn the developers were working on a story DLC for the game. This was surprising because I wasn't sure what the story for the DLC would be about. You see, the story of The Lost Crown is pretty self-contained. There's a curse in Mount Kaf that only Sargon can destroy. Sargon then returns to Persepolis and confronts Queen Tamiris about the lies she has told her people, and then Sargon gets on his horse and simply leaves the city. This ending doesn't give us much of a clue as to what the story for the DLC might be about. Because while it's true that Sargon still needs to learn the identity of who he is, I feel like that story deserves its own game with its own new map and mechanics. Which doesn't leave much material for the story DLC, right? When it comes to Sargon, I would say yes. But when it comes to Ghassan, I said that there's some room for the story to be expanded in the DLC. That's right, you heard it here first. It is my prediction that the playable character of the Lost Crown DLC will be Ghassan. Because if you think about it, Ghassan is the only character that must have had a lot of questions by the end of the story. Remember, in my last video I talked about how Ghassan isn't a true Prince of Persia. He was just a baby Tamiris put in place of the real Prince of Persia in case King Darius decided to kill him. So by the end of the story, he's not only leaving behind the life he knew, he also doesn't know who he is, or more importantly, who his real parents are. And it is this mystery that I believe will send Ghassan back to Mount Kaf in search of answers. After all, Mount Kaf is the only place that mentions him in a prophecy. So if he were to find answers, Mount Kaf would be the best location to start. And I think the idea of returning to Mount Kaf in the story DLC is great, because all Ubisoft would have to do is add a couple of new areas to the map instead of making a full new game. So it's my prediction that in the story DLC, Ghassan will travel back to Mount Kaf looking for answers about his lineage. Along the way, we will visit new locations while learning more about the world of the Lost Crown. But when it comes to Ghassan, what answers will he find regarding his lineage? That's a question I can't fully answer because, as you guys know, there are a lot of gaps in the story of the Lost Crown. We do have a lot of information about this world, but at the moment, the picture all this information paints is a little hazy to say the least. But since this is a prediction video, I am going to shoot my shot and give an educated guess. I think in this story DLC, Ghassan is going to learn the identity of his mother. And just who do I think Ghassan's mother is? My educated guess is that Ghassan's mother is none other than Fariba. I know this seems like a crazy claim to make since Fariba is just a child and Ghassan on the other hand is a grown-ass man. How is it possible that Fariba is his mother then? Well, what you need to understand is that while Fariba looks like a teenager, she isn't. If you talk to one of the Wak-Wak trees in the Sacred Archives, he will tell Sargon this.
That one was born long ago, but not old. True. Yes. Shh.
This would explain why Fariba knows so much about Mount Kaf. She has lived in it for hundreds of years. She might even be older than King Darius himself, as she knew who the previous king of Mount Kaf was.
In the beginning, an old, greedy king trapped the Magi inside.
So if she's hundreds of years old, how is it that she still looks like a child? The reason she looks like a kid is the same reason Varam also looks like a kid. She too is trapped in a time curse that prevents her from aging. And the same way one version of Varam was able to get out of Mount Kaf and start over, one version of Fariba did the same and eventually gave birth to Ghassan. But why her? Why do I think that Fariba is Ghassan's mother? Well, I don't know that for sure, but I do think I have evidence that Fariba might be of royal descent, which would make her the perfect candidate to give birth to Tamiris' fake son, as only members of the royal family can open the Seymour Gate.
The gates to the Simorg Temple only open for members of the royal family.
But what's the evidence that Fariba belongs in the royal family? Well, in one of the ships frozen in time, Sargon can collect a very mysterious lore item. Probably the most mysterious lore item in the entire game, the Comb of a Princess. This item is mysterious because, as the description says, the comb has the crest of the royal palace. But the mystery is that King Darius never had any daughters. So who does this royal comb belongs to? I believe this comb belongs to Fariba, who's the daughter of a previous king. But if she's a member of the royal family, why is her comb on this ship? This is where things get interesting. While talking to the pirate captain, he tells Sargon the following.
It was only a short while before I spotted warships on the horizon.
The ones that are trapped out there?
Very same. Some under the banner of trade ships. But they couldn't trick me.
So the ships in the harbor came under the guise of being trading ships, but in reality they came under Tamiris' order to attack the Citadel. And it seems that one of the missions Queen Tamiris gave these mercenaries was to kidnap someone of royal descent. And that's how Faraba ended up in one of these enemy ships. This would explain why Faraba has clothes very similar to some of the other pirate enemies. Before being taken by Tamiris, she probably wore an attire of a princess. But upon arriving on the ship, those clothes were substituted for the less appealing clothes she now wears. I know this prediction isn't perfect, some of you might not even buy it fully, but at least you have to agree that Ubisoft seems to be teasing something with this princess comb. And out of all of the princesses, Ghassan is the only one who we still don't know who his mother is. For Varam, we know that his mother was Queen Asadeh. For Sargon, we know that his mother was Tamiris, which leaves Ghassan as the only prince without knowledge of his parents. And once again, I think this question will be answered in the story DLC. Some things don't make sense again because the timeline is a little bit hazy. That's why we need this story DLC to explain what exactly happened 30 years before the events of the main game. And I think Ghassan will be the perfect character to explore these mysteries. But what do you think? Do you think a story DLC with Ghassan is possible? Or do you still think we will play as Sargon? Whatever your thoughts and theories are, make sure to leave them in the comments section below. Now as always, I want to give a big thanks to all of my members for supporting the channel monthly. Again guys, without you guys, none of these things will be possible. These videos would never get done. Because as you guys know, YouTube can be really unpredictable to work with, so it's always good to have members that support the channel monthly, so I really do appreciate you guys. I would also like to thank everyone who likes and shares my videos. I know it doesn't seem like much, but trust me, it really does help. And with that said, thanks for watching. And remember, go forth in the name of Olympus.